This is Algebra Lesson 3.2. Today we're going to talk about proportions and percents. So we've been talking about proportions, and where we set up two fractions or ratios where they would be equal. And so we'd have to figure out some quantity and another quantity. We'd have three of these values and try to figure out the missing value. When we work with percents, we're always going to put whatever our percent value is over 100, and that's because the word percent means per 100. And then we're going to put the part on the top and the whole on the bottom. Sometimes I think it's hard to identify what value in your question is the part and what value is the whole. So my recommendation is generally the word that has, the number that has the word of by it is going to be the whole value. And the number that has the word is by it is going to be the part. So that usually helps identify which one's the part and which one's the whole. So let's set up some proportions and we'll solve them using the techniques we talked about in lesson 3.1. The first one says, what percent of 40 is 25? What percent means my percent is going to be my variable. And my percent always goes over 100. What percent of 40? So of 40 means 40 is the whole number. Is 25. 25 is the part. That's going to go on the top. And then we can cross multiply and divide. Use your little fish or use your cross products. But that would be 100 times 25 divided by 40. 125 divided by 40. Let's use a calculator. And that is 62.5%. Letter B says, find 180% of 50. So we're going to set up our ratios the same way. 180% means 180 is going to go over 100. Of 50 means that's my whole number. So that's going to go on the bottom, and I don't know the part on the top, so now I can cross multiply divide, and that would be my answer there. So that would be 50 times 180 divided by 100. Is 90. So 90 is 180% of 50. Now this one's kind of weird because our answer was bigger than our whole, but that's because we're looking for more than 100% of something, so we should have gotten a bigger answer. And the last one says 28 is 32% of what number? So let's figure out where goes what. 32%. My percent always goes over 100. My question says 28 is, and I also have an of what? If I look for my cues to help me figure out, does the 28 go on the top or the bottom? 28 is the part. And it's the part of the whole. And of, next to a what, means my variable is the whole. So now I can cross multiply and divide. That would be 28 times 100 divided by 32. 28 times 100 divided by 32 gives me 87.5. So 28 is 32% of 87.5. Letter B, set up and solve a proportion to answer the question. In a capture-recapture process, 200 fish were tagged. From the recapture results, The game warden estimates that the lake contains 2,500 fish. What percent of the fish were tagged? So we're still talking about percent questions, so I'm still going to set up one of these ratios. In this question, I'm trying to figure out a percent, so I don't know my percent. My variable is going to go over 100. I have two other values. I have 200 tagged, and I have 2,500 fish in the whole lake. So the tagged is going to be my part. That's going to go on the top of my fraction. And the 2,500, that's the whole lake, that's going to go on the bottom of the fraction. So I have 200 in the part that was tagged out of 2,500 in the whole lake. Cross multiply divide should bring us to our answer. 100 times 200 divided by 2,500. 8. So that means approximately 8% of the fish were tagged. Letter B, in a lake with 250 tagged fish, recapture results show that 11% of the fish are tagged. About how many fish are in the lake? I have 11%, so I'm going to throw 11 over 100. I have 250 tagged. Tagged represents my part, so it's going to go on the top, and I'm trying to figure out how many fish in the whole lake. Times divide, answer. 250 times 100 divided by 11. So we have 2,273 if we round that. Letter C says a lake is estimated to have 5,000 fish after recapture experiments that showed 3% of the fish were tagged. How many fish were originally tagged? We know 3%, so 3 goes over 100. We know that there's 5,000 in the whole lake, so that's going to go on the bottom. What part were tagged? Times divide, answer. 5,000 times 3 divided by 100. And that is 150. Okay, that's it for the exercises in this lesson, or for the examples, sorry. Good luck on the exercises, and please let me know if you have any questions.